The gospel of God be in my mind and on my lips and in my heart. The gospel of God be in my mind and on my lips and in my heart. The gospel of God be in my mind and on my lips and in my heart.
In the name of one God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Please be seated. The gospel of God be in our minds and on our lips and in our hearts. For Andrew, Peter, James, and John to be followers of Jesus, to have the gospel of God in their minds and on their lips and in their hearts, would mean they would be taking huge risks. To follow Jesus would have an impact on their family life, on their livelihood. It would affect every aspect of their lives. When the disciples were called to follow Jesus, they were not being asked to add one more commitment to their already very full lives. They were being asked to reorder their lives. When Jesus said to his disciples, "Now I'm going to make you fish for people," he was not giving them a new outreach ministry. He was giving them a new identity. Jesus' call to them and to us is not another task. It is a transformed life. It is a call to a new way of being, a new identity. Their following Jesus would be a journey of thrilling experiences, witnessing miracles and participating in healings. They would be challenged by radical teaching and captivated by a message of unbounded love and limitless forgiveness. And they would be kicked out of synagogues and thrown out of cities. And like John the Baptist, some of them would be arrested. And not for corruption or scandal, but for speaking the truth. And some would be killed because of their faith in Jesus. Sometimes they would have faith to move mountains. And sometimes they would have no faith at all. They wouldn't always get it right. Sometimes their impulsivity or their fears would cause them to make painful mistakes. And gratefully, God would not use only their strengths, but their weaknesses too, to build what would become a community of faith, a witness in the world. It would be through those first followers and people like us, sometimes faithful and sometimes terribly reluctant to follow, that God would continue to reveal and extend and make known in the world God's love. I am grateful to be a companion with you in this past year, this journey of faith that we have had with Jesus. The gospel of God be in our minds and on our lips and in our hearts. What does it look like this past year? One of my favorite images this year has been the nativity play, when little Zoe Kuhn ran up the aisle dancing and twirling with her star costume on and came up behind the pesebre, the manger, to remind us, is there space? Is there space in our lives for this Jesus? Now that was just a month ago, and now Jesus is already grown up and asking us to follow him. He's gotten out of the manger. I believe we have made space. For me, I have loved the space that we've made of these ramps. The ramp out here, the ramp in the parish hall, the space for the parish hall, dedicated to the memory of Floyd and Jane Hoffman. And when the snow melts, we will dedicate this front ramp as well. But for me, on Christmas Eve, or not Christmas Eve, it was when the bishop was here. And Gladys, un miembro de San Marcos, su nieto, her grandson was here. And he came in a wheelchair. And he was able to come right on in. There was no lifting or pulling. He was able to come on his own and be a part of us. The ramps were such a beautiful, welcome visual that we're making space for all people. We made space for a labyrinth. That took a lot of decision making. A place for holy walking. And again, when the snow melts, we can get out there and invite our neighbors to come and join us. We made more space in our basement in the parish hall. We took an old closet that had old fall fair stuff in it and made it into a clothing closet. And if you've ever been to the clothing closet night when we open up and sell, it poured out of that closet into the whole teen room. And we have a fabulous new ministry. And Margarita, muchísimas gracias for the liderazgo que tú has dado a ese ministerio. And I have to say, when Margarita had this idea, so she started it, and then she got hurt and really couldn't be with us for, like, how many months? 5 months. And I was concerned because so much of this landed on Margarita, but what happened immediately was that people jumped up and said, we will take this. And I see all of you, I can't name everyone, but the ministry didn't miss a beat and continued in strength. And so, but Margarita, thank you.
Say thank you now.
For me, one of the things that this ministry is too, it is a ministry shared with Spanish speakers and English speakers. And I like to think when I go down there on a Friday afternoon, I call it Santo Doblado. It's the holy folding. The holy folding. So if you want to get into some really Santo Ministerio, you come down and fold clothes. We continue to make space for our food pantry. It's the 3rd year that our church has been the host of the community food pantry. AA has been here for many years, and we're grateful that our doors can be open. Our doors were open again this year for blessing of the animals inside. We didn't have any accidents, but we did have, the doors were wide open, and we had one little beagle that came from the neighborhood without its owners. Una perrito que entra sin sus dueños, y entra por la bendición de animal, y estoy aquí. I want our space, and it has been this year, a place of welcome for all to come in. We started some new ministries. The healing ministry, oraciones por sanidad. At 8, at 10, and 12:30, oremos porque todos reciben los bendiciones de sanidad. Thank you. And I know that Cindy walked in, but for the initiation of a new prayer chain ministry. This is one of those ministries that's in the background. But for people who need extra prayer, you can send in your email, and Cindy instigates a prayer chain for a number of people who are praying for those concerns that are in our hearts. Some are totally confidential, and some are open to everyone, but there's a group of people who are behind the scenes praying. Thank you, Cindy, for taking the initiative to get this off the ground. We made space this year for un nuevo ministerio, Noche de la Familia, Night of the Family. This is one of the things we've opened to the community, and it is bilingual. It is mostly in Spanish, más en español, and it's a night solamente de juegos, comida, y baile, música. It's a night of games and music and fun together, shared meals, and it's a way of opening our space for people in the community. It's still new, but it's growing. We've also had a new ministry. Lynn has helped get off the ground the Midnight Run. And it started kind of slow with just 1 or 2 people. And then this last time we had, I think there were 13. And again, this was a shared ministry. Members from San Marcos, members from Christ Church, together we are celebrating and worshiping together. We continue to support YAI and Cristo Sal and the Kendall Ministry. Thank you, Howard. And Andrea, who's beginning to help you now. Also, we've continued with Terry Hall, Sue Engel. I don't know if she's here today, but she has a very quiet ministry in the background that she does in the name of our church for people in the nursing home there. We had a new ministry, another new ministry that started, and this was Joanne and Nancy, who started the 2nd Sunday of every month, a Taze Labyrinth Alternative worship service on the 2nd Sunday. If you haven't come yet, there's a couple more weeks, and we'll have another one. And for Chris continuing with 1544, getting the liturgy, smiling, look at that. And it's tonight, 7 o'clock tonight. A las 7 de la noche, reunimos otra vez por oración. And this too, I know Chris is one of his greatest delights, is not that it's just English speakers, but Spanish speakers have come too. Yo sé que no es fácil en este idioma antiguo, pero gracias por los que viene y trata hacerlo. It's not easy, and it's not even easy in English, but in Spanish, and for us to try. I think one of the most beautiful things in our church is that people are trying to be one community, working together. We've made space for new people. We've had 8 people baptized, 8 confirmed, 3 received into our church, 2 reaffirmed, and over 30 that have called this church their new home. And I know today we're kind of thin because it's the weather and everything else, but I'd like to see just, if you're not too shy, if you are new to this church in the last 3 years, si tú parte de esta iglesia los últimos 3 años, por favor de pie. If you've been here for the last 3 years, stand up. Okay. Stay standing. If you came in the last 2 years, oh, maybe I made that, that concludes all of you, doesn't it? Oh, well, sit down. I know that there's so many that have been new this year and the last couple of years. And I know in past years we've said, okay, how many are here up until the Ultimo, but I really wanted you to see how the church is growing. New people are coming in. We have made space, people just coming into this space. La puerta está abierta lunes a viernes. The doors are open Monday through Friday. And people, Gray knows this, people just come in and pray. Just use our space. And people have wandered into our morning prayer just to join us in prayer. Some have touched our lives very deeply as they come in and wanted to be a part, and then they've gone. And we've had some hard goodbyes this year. This was Ethan and Matai left us this year. I know we all loved Ethan and Matai, and when Ethan came in, he was here 1 week, and then the next week he was, standing up and talking about justice and bringing us more aware of what we can be involved in. And the other person who was really hard to leave was Ketty. Ketty left us this year and went back to Chile, and it was very hard to say goodbye to Ketty. She was one of the founding members. Ella, una de las personas en los primeros días de San Marcos. Pero gracias que ahora San Marcos está muy fuerte por ella. We have space for children, and it's incredible to me what Jan and Chris have done, nurturing the programs of our children. There is no greater joy than when that whole group comes in during communion and comes up to the altar with their hands open. And you can't see what I see, because they always have marks on their hands and beads in their hands and necklaces and usually a little toy that they sit on the altar rail. It's like, okay. And the best, I think, was little Michael Dunn. I don't know if the Dunns are here, but Michael comes up and he says, a chip and juice. Of course. And space for our tweens, our middle school. And Elizabeth, thank you so much for standing up and saying, I'll start this. And Mabel, I know you've said you're going to help now. And we're beginning to make a space for our tweens. And then hopefully in this coming year, more space for those who are coming up in that age group. And also, we don't want to lose completely those who've gone, our high school kids and the young adults in our area. But thank you for this. We made space at the altar, and I know we don't have our acolytes today, but there really are a lot of them now. I think some of them are doing midterms, and others, the snow has kept them away. But not only in Christ Church, but San Marcos has 5 new acolytes, and they are fabulous, and I'm so grateful to them. Also this year, we welcome on the altar, Andrea is a new Eucharistic minister, and Dylan, a new Eucharistic minister. There's always more opportunity to serve here, and they've also joined with the Altar Guild, so there's more service there. I am grateful to the choir. I'm grateful to you. And I'm grateful to the little choir too, but I think for me, I want to say again in front of the parish, it is a great sadness to me, the way that the situation happened with June and his leaving. And I'm sorry for the pain that caused us as a parish. And I am very grateful to his gifts, his energy, his time, and musical talent, because he was very talented and gave a lot. And thank you for what you have done as a choir. It's beautiful. And I do want to acknowledge him. We made a special new space for a seminarian. And Joanne, we are grateful that you have come and been with us this whole year. and for your preaching and your teaching, and mostly just your presence with us. We have come to love you, and I know how you have come to love this parish and been with us. So thank you. It has been a huge support to have Joanne with us as ministry. So I'm very grateful. We have continued to do Bible study and prayer, and I believe that those things are foundational. We will not be a church that grows past few people coming in and out if we don't have a good foundation. And I am grateful for the foundation on the noonday study, and also for the prayer group and Bible study on Friday night. El grupo de oración que Mario dirigirlos todos los viernes. Every Friday, San Marcos gathers and has prayer and Bible study. That is what I believe has made San Marcos strong, is their foundation. We have made great space to be one congregation with two languages. And Mario, muchísimas gracias. I don't think you can know how we're one of the few congregations that's trying to do this and is doing it well. And I know that it happens because Mario is who Mario is, and that we work together as a team. And we have worked really hard to try to understand each other, to try to understand cultural differences, to try and work together. We still got a long ways to go, but we're getting there. And I believe that we're strong and it's good. We've had 8 bilingual services. I know this is always hard when things are in 2 languages, but we've had fabulous, and especially this, I know it's this coming year, but Mario, the Epiphany este año era increíble. The pesebre, the stadium, unbelievable. And just that we have worked together with Noche de la Familia, the international dinner, the clothing closet, the fair. We just are doing more and more that makes us one congregation with 2 languages. And I believe that reveals the glory of God. There are so many things, más que yo puedo decir. There's too many things for me to name, but I want you to get a sense. When I think about the year, my heart is so full. How can we not be full of gratitude for what God is doing in our midst? I'm not going to steal Diane's thunder because she's got a lot to say, I think, in our financial area. But I will say one thing. We ended the year in the black again, which means a month ago I thought, oh my, we're not going to make it, because it seemed like we were about $10,000 short to meet our budget. It's like, ooh, where is this going to happen? And we ended the year 5,000 over. Este es por la generosidad, the generosity of all of us together, giving of ourselves to make sure that the church continues its ministry. I am very, very grateful. Much gratitude. The gospel today, Jesus and the disciples are at a crucial time of change. They are in situations of discernment, making choices for something new. They're setting out on a new segment of life's journey. I'm excited about what's ahead for us. I have read the next chapters in the gospel, and out of the boat and onto the shoreline, the disciples become participants and eyewitnesses of the most fabulous unfolding of God's presence in their life. But we must stick close to Jesus. We must nurture our own prayer. We must worship together. We must have spiritual disciplines, prayer and study. There are no shortcuts. That must always be the most important plan we have for the new year. We will have to be people listening carefully to the voice of God's Spirit if we are to know how to use all that has been entrusted to us. And we have been entrusted with much. The gifts of each person here, the talents and the resources that have been poured on us. Not only did we get that Fidel Fund a few years ago, but now we've been given this new gift, anonymous gift, of $63,000 so that we can consider getting an assistant. Why does this happen to us? It's like, God, what are you up to? The blessings are almost too much. The burden, la carga, the privilegio of this listening is on us together. You can't put it on me. It's on all of us together. It will be risky. It will be thrilling. It will be costly. and it will be amazing. We have big decisions ahead this year. We will hire a new music director. We will expand our Hispanic outreach. We will form our integrity congregation, our ministry. We will develop a youth program. We will hire an assistant. We will continue to take care of this space and keep our doors open and make sure that that front door doesn't fall off. We will do that to the glory of God. And we will nurture and encourage the faith of all those whose lives are closely linked with ours. This was my sermon, and it was my annual meeting address. So you won't get any more down the parish hall. The gospel of God be en nuestras mentes, en nuestros labios, y en nuestros corazones.